Mayong Wednesday. Good morning, Usab. So, it's a Wednesday, so we'll have our video again, our lesson. So, niya pagyapong kita sa Exodus and we are here in the laws, mga balaod gihatag sa Ginoo. O kung sa una, nag-agi kita sa mga lessons, atong nakita lang ang law as a general one. Mao to ang perspective nato dito. But karon kitungod kay bayubay nato nang isgutan ng mga connections sa Old Testament and the New One, mayo sab natong agian gamay sa dili magiingon nga deeper, but actually you just have to read it and to find the connections from the one story to the other. So naagid sa istorya. So balikan nako ang chapter before sa paghatag sa Ten Commandments. Mao ko tong chapter nga niabot ang father-in-law ni Moses na si Jethro, nagikan siya sa Midian, Afrikano siya, Egypto. So ganto sa dito nagbisita siya og sa pagsaysay lang sa magibuhat sa Ginoo para kang Moises ug sa mga Israelita ug nagtuo siya sa Ginoo. In fact, Jethro the Midianite, he was not an Israelite, burnt an offering sa para sa Ginoo. Naghatag siya offering. And he said, really, the God of Israel is really the God. So, siya man usab nakasabot sa grasya, nakasabot sa kaluwasan sa Ginoo ng mga tao nga walay angayan ug angayan lang sila patyon pero giluwas sila sa Ginoo ug dalon sila ngadto sa gisaad kanila. So by that, he acknowledged who God is. Amazing ka na. Wala evangelism, wala discipleship. Kung unsa man nga pabulak-bulak ang storya ni Moises, it's that Moses just recounted what God has done. And of course, they were watching, ang mga neighbors, the people, the world was watching. Layo biya sila. They were in Africa. They were in Africa. So they were watching what was happening to them. And most likely, relay lang ang mga istorya tinahitabo. So when he was there, he was trying to help give tagaanig advice si Moises tabagan niya sa buhaton niya sa mga affairs sa mga tao. Kinahanglan mga dispute. 2 million of people na coming out from Egypt. And then now they're in the wilderness. So gubot gid na. Kung pipila lagi ka tao imo ipag-uban, dili lang kay magkadimao samot pagka ni. So mao nang daghan nahurot ang oras ni Moises, and that makes sense what they did in the 40 years. They were really living as a country going from one place to another, and you would really see the chaos ang kagubot nila. So mao to ingon si Jethro nga ayaw buhat tanan ang trabaho, you have to delegate people. Yes, it's a lesson on leadership, but it sets the stage for the coming ni story in the narrative. Of course, after that, naghatag ang Ginoo sa standard. Those were the 10 Commandments, di ba? Napulo lang yung gihatag. Of course, we have seen this in the lesson nga 613 plus gid ni ko imong ihapon. Ambot lang pud kinsa nag-ihapan ni. But of course, ng mga Bible scholars, nag-study naman sila. They said that there's 613 laws na gihatag sa Ginoo. But today, I would like to put a separation, a distinction between them. Kining 10 Commandments na gihatag sa Ginoo, napulo siya. And then of course there were others, di ba? Katong atong tunansaon na there were ceremonial laws and there were social laws. When we say ceremonial laws, it's how they will relate to God. Okay? And this is also how God relates to them. So mo tong gitagaan sila agadiya. And then social laws, dagan sila mga social laws pertaining justice, how to treat your slaves, how to go about sa mga affairs sa imong family, and bisan pa man sa imong neighbors kung na mo yung mga problema, you have to follow this one o para dili pod mo magka-problema. So duha ni sila sa tanawon ni nato. So paghatag sa Ginoo sa ila sa 10 Commandments, sa tuingon nato, it was for them to be to keep them free. Okay, they were already freed. Tagaan sila sa napulo ka commandments, and if you understand it, see it, read it, it was really given to them to keep them free. Okay, to keep them from being slave again. Example, isa ra ang Ginoo because in Egypt ato na sila daghan kay silang Dios dito. Tanan nga butang na ilang kuan, Dios na naay lugar na karon dili lang ko mag-mention. Pero naay mga lugar nga inana bisag unsa na lang na butang, gamit, hayop, Dios na ug naa siya background sa time sa Egypt at that time na si Pharaoh. So when they were freed by God, taken away from Egypt, God made it sure there's only one God. And you have to remember His name, and then you have to take a rest. Okay, these are freeing laws. And honor your father and mother. Do not murder. Do not covet. Do not take anything that is not yours, and so on and so forth. These were laws given to them, so they will be kept free. They will not be enslaved again. And of course, after that, that's Exodus 20. One na itong mga laws dayon pertaining ceremonial laws. Now, gihatag man sa Ginoo. Because they were disorganized. Coming from Egypt, they are daghan na sila karon, and then they had to be taught unsaon pag-relate sa Ginoo and how God relates to them. And of course, He relates to them through sacrifice first. Motong gipaandam ang tabernacle ug unsay mga gamit dito. Aside from that, mga special kaya mga kubiertos, mga gamit. And it just shows us that the presence of the Lord is in grande gayud. Dili ni Diyos ni. Hari ni sa mga tanan hari, mo ni naghimos kalibutan. If He is to dwell among people, He has to be, i-follow dapat ang iyang mga rules and regulation of iyang mga standards. Bisan pa man sa mga kubiertos. Motong ipaandam sila unsay buhaton, even the Ark of the Covenant, unsay kamiton nga kahoy. And those were hardwood yung ipagamit sa Ginoo, kung unsay materialis na iyang gibuhat sa kalibutan, maura pud ang iyang gipabuhat. And if you understand it, it's really a grand presence, di ba? To be there, and especially ang mga priest lang tagaan sa higayon, and it's not for everybody. So it really shows us the grace of God, that God Himself could dwell among man. Aside from that, natakurat ko sa uban ng mga laws, even sa mga offerings, specific ang Ginoo sa mga offerings. Inalingon siya na part dito in Exodus chapter 30. Interesting kayo, when it talks about money, ang iyang gipangayo lang is 1 shekel, 1 piece of silver. Mura gipangayo niya. Mapobre man ka or dato ka, sapian ka, dunahan ka, mura gid mong ihatag. So we see that God is a God who is fair. Fair siya, di ba? Wala ko kapangayo sa excess, wala ko kapangayo sa kulang. So kaya sa pobre ang 1 piece of silver. Kung mo tanawon karon shekel karon sa Israel, compared sa peso, it's like 15 pesos. Okay? So mo lagi nang sayop gid kayo ang uban nga mga ministro nga abi nila mga kwarta sila sa buluhaton. Kay bisan kung basahon nimo ang balawon, 15 pesos lagi pangayo sa Ginoo nga ilang ihatag na money offering. But ikaw na Ginoo, you have to be honest with your crop and your wine offering and your animals. That's why the firstborn of your son, it must be given back to God. You have to buy it back. Okay, paliton nimo. And then ang imong animal ihatag nimo na sa Ginoo. You have to buy it back also. Pero ingon ang Ginoo dito nga papo kay ingon siya nga, pero kanang bago pagipanganak, ipauban sa na sa iyang mama, and then after that you give it back to me and then redeem it. So it was a picture of the Messiah, the future. So fairness, equity, mao ang pag-relate sa Ginoo sa tao. So interesting lang kayo. And then of course the social responsibility, I've mentioned this last Sunday. Ug salamat ko kay nami libro nga napalit, and really helped me with understanding this one. When we talk about the commandments, it's really black and white. Black and white gina, di gina pwede, dili na man-negotiate. But of course, when we get to the next other laws na gihatag sa Ginoo, regulations, we call it regulations. Those were the gray areas. Kabalo mo ng gray areas. Mo nang mga di kay klaro kung puti ba siya or itom. Pero actually, tandin mo, this is the commandment, the 10 commandments, and these are the other ones. Okay, talking about ceremonial laws, of course, that's black and white. But the social laws especially, these were very gray. Sa ingong galikula Sunday nga, tagaan sila provision how to navigate ang kining slavery. Ingon sila, kung slave ang imong anak, the only way that she could be free is ipa-aminyo siya sa anak sa amo. And he would be free, she would be free. O kung ingon datong na mga problema, gray areas kayo, kay problema sa kaminyon, dagan ang mga asawa, make sure kung duha ay mga asawa or tulo, nga maka-provide ka sa tanan. Imagine that even God was the one helping them navigate through their gray areas or through their messiness. Of course, God was black and white. And of course, we know that the reason of giving the law, again, to make them free. But on the other hand, di ba, kay marami na siyang diamond, the gospel, multifaceted. Wherever you look at it, dagan siya mga aspeto. On the other hand, it's really a mirror to show us that we are not so black and white, but we are actually gray. So that's the word for today. So, amazing kayo ang Ginoo. That's why it makes sense. Balikan ako ang 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Ingon dito that He is the cloud and He is the rock. Si Kristo kuno, ang naguban kanila. But there's a familiar verse there. He will not, diba? He will not allow you to be tempted, which you will not be able to escape it. He has already given you escape it. And basically, the other provisions of the law given to Moses, aside from the Ten Commandments and the ceremonial laws, how they relate to God, especially the social laws, this is their way to escape and to navigate the messiness of their lives. So it's just amazing how God really is so gracious to us. He was so gracious to Israel. He knows that we cannot meet His standards, but He helps us navigate through our messiness and our sin. So hope this encourages us. The reality of who God is, He is holy and perfect, black and white. But the reality of who we are gray, we are sinful. But then God helps us navigate through this messiness. And it's simply called as life. So salamat sa Ginoo sa iyang grasya. Salamat sa iyang gugmag kaluoy. Hope everybody is doing well karon nga semana.